Today is the feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe, who is called the Star of the New Evangelization. Just as at the Annunciation, Mary visited her kinswoman Elizabeth, whose child John the Baptist leapt in her womb at the approach of the Savior, so too the apparitions of the Virgin of Guadalupe to Juan Diego serve as a new visitation. God comes to save his people, this time in the New World. The miraculous appearance of the Virgin on the cloak of Juan Diego is integral to the new evangelization in the Americas, just as it led to the conversion of an entire continent nearly 500 years ago. If the Holy Father is now calling all of us to be missionary disciples, then consider the words he wrote at the conclusion of the Aparecida conference in 2007. Mary is the great missionary, the continuer of her son's mission, who forms missionaries. As she gave birth to the Savior of the world, she brought the gospel to our Americas. In the Guadalupe event, together with the humble Juan Diego, she presided over Pentecost, which opened us to the gifts of the Spirit. Since then, countless communities have found in her the closest inspiration for learning how to be disciples and missionaries of Jesus. The appearance of the Virgin at Tepeyac was and is an event, like Pentecost, that opened new horizons for the peoples of the Americas. Mary did not appear there in the same way as she did in the depictions of early Christianity or in the Christianity of medieval Europe. She appeared not as a European, but with a mixed face, at the place of encounter between Spanish and indigenous cultures. The image of the Virgin of Guadalupe is rich in symbolism, and it contains a code, we might say, for revealing profound truths. There is a light surrounding her, which reminds us of the woman clothed in the sun. Many people, including the Aztecs, worship the sun as a god. One sees light radiating from her, indicating to the people the divinity of the child in her womb. She stands, as Revelation indicates, with the moon under her feet. The cloud surrounding her would have indicated to the indigenous people the supernatural revelation that was taking place. The presence of the angel shows the woman's royal dignity, the angels lifting her at the bottom. For the Mesoamerican peoples, only kings, queens, and dignitaries would be carried on the shoulders of others. Mary is depicted as an empress whose son brings harmony now to the cosmos. Her mantle was a blue-green turquoise, which to the native people was the color of the gods or of royalty. But she did not appear to them as any of their gods. This was something new. The color of her mantle symbolized for the indigenous the force of life and fruitfulness. The stars on her mantle, like the clouds, show that she comes from the heavens. But the pattern of the stars is that of the winter solstice on December 12th, 1531, after which the days become lighter. Her salmon-colored dress has been interpreted as symbolizing the dawn of a new era, but also as a foreshadowing of the martyrdom that would come to the peoples during times of persecution. Of course, in the last century, there was the persecution of Catholics at the beginning of the 20th century in the Cristeros movement in Mexico. This dress contains 9 types of flowers, all made in gold, representing the different tribes of the Aztlan that made up the Tenochtitlan, which was the seat of the Aztec Empire. Her necklace is centrally located, and its shape with its cross indicates the centrality of Christ the Redeemer. The Spanish cross is united with a 4-petaled flower. The dark violet cincture above her waist shows her to be pregnant. The 4-petaled flower, the flower of the sun, is a symbol of the plenitude, of fullness, of fruitfulness, and new life, and appears over her womb. The band itself is tied in a knot, again showing that she's pregnant. Mary is both virgin and mother. She has her hands folded, showing her to be a woman of prayer and piety. But the right hand is delicate and lighter, and her left hand is fuller and darker if you look closely. It shows the unity between the Spanish and the indigenous culture. Her left knee also appears to be bent, possibly indicating that she was dancing and clapping to the rhythm of the maracas, which is how the Aztecs often prayed. The Virgin's face is lowered, gazing at everyone with tenderness and compassion. She looks slightly to one side, as natives did not immediately look at anyone as a sign of reverence. Her downcast eyes demonstrate not only her compassion, but her humility. As I said, her facial features are not really Spanish, nor are they purely Aztec, but mestizo, a blend of races, and representing the birth of a new people. Up to this point, people of mixed race were despised by both the Spaniards and indigenous peoples. But now the Virgin appeared as one of them to indicate her closeness, and the closeness of God to the least members of society. She welcomes everyone as her children. Her eyes, upon closer examination, contain human forms, including the image of Juan Diego and the bishop to whom he brought the tilma. She gazes tenderly upon all of humanity. It's interesting, they've even looked at the Virgin's eyes under electron microscopy, and they've seen the image of Juan Diego, the bishop, and possibly Juan Diego's translator, so that it's a truly remarkable image, and to see her eyes full of compassion, gazing upon humanity. We could say many more things about this remarkable image, the fact, for example, that none of the colors or dyes have ever faded. But the point I want to make is that God revealed himself through Mary in a particular culture, making use of the symbols of that culture in order to bring a message of life to the people, to give birth to a new people, and to help that people actually be a people. The image is important for the new evangelization because it calls us to build a culture of encounter. In the Guadalupe event, we experienced the encounter between God and man, the encounter between Spanish and indigenous culture, the encounter between faith and culture. And it's this encounter that helps us to overcome conflict and gives rise to a new synthesis of faith and a people with their piety and with their devotion. And these people coming from the South now are coming to the United States, and we Americans, we also have to say, well, what does this mean for us? And how can we be united, and how can we receive what it is that they have to offer and be truly devoted to the Holy Virgin of Guadalupe? Indeed, the image of Guadalupe has much to say to the people of all the Americas. Her embrace is for all the peoples of this continent. She gazes upon them with tenderness. She hears their cries in their suffering. She offers to them the gift of her Son, who is the life and light of the world. And she continues to teach us of the need to bear this light and life to others, to go forth in a new visitation for a new evangelization. Rightly then is the Holy Virgin of Guadalupe called the Star of the New Evangelization. In just 10 years following her appearance at Tepeyac to Juan Diego, 9 million people accepted Jesus Christ. Through her, God visited the peoples of the Americas, and together we are the heirs to the fruit of her visit. As heirs to this great heritage of enculturated faith, we are left to ponder, how might I make known this faith in this culture, in this parish, in my family? How can the holy image of the Virgin of Guadalupe help our church be the church that Christ wants and our people need? I know the task seems daunting, especially in a highly secularized culture or in a world ravaged by a pandemic. But with God, all things are possible. So many people live in fear, and yet we need to hear the words once more that the Holy Virgin of Guadalupe spoke to Juan Diego. Listen, and let it penetrate your heart. Do not be troubled or weighed down with grief. Do not fear any illness or vexation, anxiety or pain. Am I not here who am your mother? Are you not under my shadow and protection? Am I not your fountain of life? Are you not in the folds of my mantle, in the crossing of my arms? Is there anything else you need?